Welcome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share. I'm really excited to get to all the fun things that we have planned for today. I got a wonderful guest coming up. I have obviously a lot of big news. It has been a crazy, crazy week so far. It has been absolutely insane. I'm going to give it just another like 30 seconds here or so just to let some more people come in. Make sure everybody, if please let me know in the comments if you can hear me just fine. Please, please, please just let me know that so I can make sure that I don't start going with everything. Uh, and no one can hear me. I don't want anybody to not be able to hear me. In the meantime, too, you guys can always comment any questions or anything you guys have throughout the show. Please do so. Let me know again. Can everybody hear me? Let me know in the comments if you can. In the meantime, I also want to let everybody know too, if you guys are noticing this camera might look a little bit warmer, a little bit better. This show is now brought to you by Paul Garcia Productions. Paul Garcia Productions is out of Normal, Illinois. Paul Garcia Productions creates stunning and effective videos and commercials for Central Illinois businesses. Visit paulgarciaproductions.com to learn more and help your business get more business. I love Paul. He helped me out, set me up with this camera, has helped me out learning a lot about how to make my videos seen on YouTube and stuff. So definitely go check out Paul Garcia Productions. If you're on YouTube, you can see under this video in the description, all of his links and stuff are there. So check out Paul Garcia Productions. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Wow. It has been an amazing week so far and full of news. And when I say amazing, I just mean a spectacle. Monday alone, we saw Tucker Carlson out at Fox News, the #1 rated show on cable news. Done. Insane. Then Don Lemon was also put out onto the streets. I cannot believe everything that we're seeing. Perfect. Thank you so much, Connor, for letting me know that you can hear me. But I cannot believe everything that we are seeing. And then yesterday, Joe Biden announced his run for president like 5:30 in the morning. What the hell was that? Everybody, we got so much more to cover here. But first, I'm Kev Phares, and you're watching Speechless. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. Reminder, like, subscribe, and share. And this is brought to you by Paul Garcia Productions. Thank you so much, Paul, for sponsoring this show. But I want to start off with the biggest news story that no one really saw coming. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News, coming out of the Daily Wire. Ratings king Tucker Carlson ousted at Fox News on Monday. Last show aired Friday. Tucker Carlson, Fox News Channel's biggest primetime star, has left the cable news giant. Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways, Fox News said in a statement. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. The network said Carlson has already hosted his last episode of Tucker. Mr. Carlson's last program was Friday, April 21st. The statement continued. Carlson was almost always at the top of the ratings in primetime, drawing a massive audience that often dwarfed several of his competitors combined. So you combined like Maddow, Lemon, a lot of other people that were on at similar times, totally blew him out of the water combined. As the Daily Wire previously reported, Carlson's show in reruns often eclipsed the audience of original programming at other networks. A source told the Daily Wire Carlson's staff was blindsided by the news and only learned late Monday morning when members received an email from the primetime star. The popular host's abrupt exit comes just under a week after the network settled a lawsuit with Dominion Voting Systems for just under $800 million, narrowly avoiding a trial in which Carlson would have been expected to testify. Interestingly enough, so like right before that, Dan Bongino was also ousted by Fox News. Just mainly it was claimed that it was because of a contract dispute. Even Bongino covered that. But what Bongino also had to say about Tucker Carlson getting ousted was, folks, regretfully he said at his time, last week was his last show on Fox News, on the Fox News channel. So that show ending last week was tough. And I want you to know it's not some big conspiracy, I promise you. So that's what he had to say about his. I know that Bongino also came out and said he was stunned by the Tucker Carlson stuff. Everybody was. This came at when even his own staff didn't know it was going to happen. So why is this happening? Why was Tucker fired so abruptly as well? Well, as that article hinted, many attribute it to the $787 million settlement with Dominion over claims of lies regarding election fraud. And there are two facets to this belief that must be true for that to be the attribution to his firing. The first is that the parting of ways would have to be due to the loss of money. That's the first facet of this, because there's two facets. It's the loss of money, and then because of the alleged lies that were told regarding the Dominion voting machines. So those would both have to be true for his to be firing. And so let's start off with the loss of money. So if he was being fired because of the loss of money, then that would mean that they would overall save money and make money because Carlson was fired. But in fact, Fox Corp's stock tanked after the announcement was made. Coming out of CBS News, Fox lost more than $800 million in value after announcing Tucker Carlson's departure. Fox Corporation's worth as a public company has sunk more than $800 million after the media company on Monday announced that it is parting ways with the star host Tucker Carlson, raising questions about the future of Fox News and the future of the conservative network's primetime lineup. Carlson, whose last show was April 21st, is leaving Fox News, even as he remains the top-rated host ever. So this just goes a little bit more into his ratings. 334,000 viewers in the coveted 25 to 54-year-old demographic in the 8 p.m. slot. That was more than twice the audiences of his competitors at CNN and MSNBC in the same hour. Insane. Also, he would top Sean Hannity and Laura Ingram's audience. But anyways, so Fox News lost $800 million, which is more money than they lost in the Dominion lawsuit, simply in their stock value by cutting Tucker. So it cannot be that they fired him due to a loss of money. So then let's go to the second part. Maybe it's because he allegedly lied. There is an argument to be made that he didn't lie, and that when it comes to the Dominion case, but YouTube will actually ban me. I know people that it's happened to. YouTube will ban me if I try to make that argument that he did not lie. I had our Kat Peterson on Cities 92.9 showed the primary evidence regarding that argument, but I am staying on a very thin line and saying that, yes, the court case shows that he lied. And so I have to say that. But let's just assume for the sake of my argument that premise is true, that Tucker Carlson did lie regarding the voting machines. Could that be enough to fire the host of the most watched show in cable news? Honestly, no, it could not be enough because all the media lies. The media lies all the time. At one point, we were told the Hunter Biden laptop story was a conspiracy theory. We're still being told that Trump stole the 2016 election with Russia. In 2020, we were assured that there's no chance COVID could have started in a lab. And so if anyone is telling you that Tucker was fired because he lied, then they're lying to you. Because people in the media lie all the time. It's literally like what they do. Public trust in the mainstream media is so flippin' low right now. So if it's not money and it's not alleged lying, then what is it? Well, there are plenty of theories out there regarding investors in Fox Corp being related to certain companies that produce certain jabs. So just take a look at this clip. We're going to take a look at this clip together from Tucker's last show on Friday. I'm going to share my screen here. Hope that everyone can hear this video when I pull it up. This is from Tucker's last show on Friday when he didn't even know it was going to be his last show. So let me share my screen right here. And let's watch this.
Sometimes you wonder just how filthy and dishonest our news media are. You'll be in the shower and you'll think they're bad, but how bad are they? Well, here's one measure of their badness. You can try this at home. Ask yourself, is any news organization you know of so corrupt that it's willing to hurt you on behalf of its biggest advertisers? Anyone who do that is obviously Pablo Escobar level corrupt and should not be trusted. Sometimes you wonder. I certainly am wondering right now. Would they hurt us for the dollar? Would they fire a host for the dollar? Well, there's actually a more left commentator, also actor, comedian, that had something exactly to say about this. And so let's also take a look at what he had to say. This is Russell Brand, who kind of lays it out pretty perfectly as to why Tucker highly likely could have been fired. So let's look at this.
It also shows that the media is obsessed with itself. It's in a sort of narcissistic spiral, reporting on its own perspectives, its own heroes and its own villains. What is the mainstream media supposed to be for? Just for a moment, remind yourself that it's actually about giving you information about important stuff, like how the government are governing, about how corporations are behaving, the information that you need to live your life efficiently and effectively, so you're informed politically. It doesn't do that. You know it doesn't do that. You know that the mainstream media is owned by certain corporate interests. You know that it gets all of its revenue from like the pharmaceutical industry. You know that they're tied up with the military industrial complex, and you know that they support the state with only partisan distinctions between this party or that party defining their output. They do not serve in your awakening. They do not serve your empowerment. Where Tucker Carlson goes next will inform us a great deal about our political landscape. If he joins an independent news organization, that's going to be fascinating. It will demonstrate where the power is moving, and it will show us why authoritarian, centralized systems of power are doubling down on trying to censor, control, surveil, prohibit, smear, destroy any alternative voices, because they recognize that now we can all communicate instantaneously and challenge any narratives that they put forward. That's why they've become ultra propagandist. Also shows
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I even want to build off of that a little bit more. So I'm not going to deny, because I will admit, we don't know for sure. We have not received explicit confirmation as to the reason Tucker was fired. And if it is truly because of the people that fund the mainstream media, people that fund Fox News, and the investors that are all tied into Fox Corp, if it is that, we will never actually know that that is the reason. So I'm not going to deny that the potential conspiracy is that is implicated. But I honestly don't know if it's always that sexy. It could also be that Tucker simply never meshed with Fox, with Fox's brand. That's another idea that I have. Tucker might have never actually been a part of Fox's brand. And recently he's been pushing that idea and the limits of the brand to a boiling point. He's too populist. Here's the thing. Tucker is way too populist for those at Fox News. Compared to Ingram and Hannity, their other opinion hosts, he pushes limits and exposes elitist lies and corruption in a way that no one else on any mainstream media platform ever has. Let's take a look. I want to keep showing these clips because Tucker really shows exactly what I'm trying to say here in different podcasts and such. And so let's take a look right here. You might have heard me. I don't know if you could hear that already, but I'm going to play right here this clip from Tucker on the Full Send podcast. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but he talks about the idea of the media being controlled by powerful people who run the world. And so he talks about the possibility of not only what Russell Brand had to say, but also just the idea that he is not meshing with the go with the flow elitist ideas. He talks against that and he speaks out against that. So let's take a look at this.
Like, I've spent my whole life in the media. My dad was in the media. Like, that is a big part of the revelation that's changed my life, is the media are part of the control apparatus. Like, there's no, yeah, I know, because you're younger and smarter and you're like, yeah. But what if you're me and you spent your whole life in that world, and to look around and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. Not only are they part of the problem, but I spent most of my life being part of the problem, defending the Iraq War. Like, I actually did that. Can you imagine if you did that?
Well, what do you think? What is one of your biggest regrets in your career?
Oh, defending the Iraq War.
That is it?
Well, I've had a million regrets, not being more skeptical, calling people names when I should have listened to what they were saying. Look, when someone makes a claim, there's only one question that's important at the very beginning, which is the claim true or not? So I say, you committed murder, or you rigged the last election. Before you attack me as a crazy person for saying that, maybe you should explain whether you did it or not. You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for too long, I participated in the culture where I was like, anyone who thinks outside these pre-prescribed lanes is crazy, is a conspiracy theorist. And I just really regret that. I'm ashamed that I did that. And partly it was age, partly it was the world that I grew up in. So when you look at me and you're like, yeah, of course they're part of the means of control, I'm like, that's obvious to you because you're 28, but I just didn't see it.
He didn't see it. And so that's what I want. That's what I really think part of it is Tucker grew up in the media. He was raised in the media. He was raised in the idea that the media told the truth, the media told the facts. And then as he got more into it, he started to realize that that really wasn't the case. He saw it for what it really was before even social media started to expose it to everybody. He saw how the narrative was controlled at the expense of facts and truth. That's what he saw. Tucker is not made for the mainstream media. Tucker was not made for that kind of thing. If anything, I think that this is probably the best thing that could possibly happen to Truth and Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson will now be able to go and like Russell Brand said, hopefully he'll go to alternative media. Hopefully he'll either stream on his own, or he'll have any kind, or he'll make a deal with the Daily Wire, the Blaze, anywhere. So then he can be truly unfettered and in no way hindered by the mainstream media culture, the elitist culture that he was not made for. Everybody, I want to talk about more about this. I got a few stories with this to bring in. I also want to talk about the Biden 2024 thing, and even kind of contrast Tucker with Don Lemon a little bit too. Maybe a few other stories, but I want to introduce a guest to everybody. My good friend, he is also a host on Cities 92.9. He's coming in, he's streaming in from, I believe, his home. Can't say where that is. Not even going to say his real name. Everybody, this is El Donzo from the El Donzo and D show. El Donzo.
Hey, Kev, how you doing?
I am doing just good, just fine. I'm fascinated by all this news, and I want to get your take on some of the things that I've talked about already. Go into a little bit more, but first, just introduce yourself. Who are you to everybody that's watching?
Well, I'm El Donzo, the host of the El Donzo and D show on Cities 92.9. And like I said, I'm thankful to my good friend Kev here to have me on, not us. Of course, Deez is not here at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Catch our show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on Cities 92.9. And by the way, we are the redheaded stepchild of the station. So I wanted to throw that in there.
Absolutely. El Donzo, he runs an absolutely hilarious show. Do you guys know what you're talking about? You said you were doing some show prep for this weekend. You know what you're talking about this weekend so far?
A lot of the stuff you're talking about, of course, we're gonna beat the hell out of the whole Nike thing and the Maybelline thing and the Bud Light thing as much as we can. Talk about that. So a lot of the stuff you're doing right now. So it kind of worked out pretty good for me to come on because I was kind of hashing out some things. So worked perfect, Kev.
Awesome. So what do you think? I want to get into some of that other stuff like the Nike and Bud Light, everything like that. But what did you think when you heard Tucker Carlson was out at Fox News? What was your immediate reaction?
I was shocked. I was shocked for a lot of the same reasons everybody else was. But the biggest one was they didn't give him a week to transition out of it. They didn't give him a final show to say, hey, thanks to all the listeners. I've hit this impasse at Fox. Mutual respect, both of us. I'm going to be leaving. They just cut him right off, which tells me something pretty big happened. Now, two things I took away from the past week, especially on the weekend. So AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was, I believe, on Jen Psaki's show saying.
So I have that clip. I had that clip pulled. I was about to talk to you about that. So I had a whole joke even prepared, El Donzo. I was going to say AOC was inside Jen Psaki last weekend.
Got it.
Yeah. Well, it's her show's called Inside with Jen Psaki, but
Inside Jen Psaki, whatever, wouldn't be the first one. Between that and of course AOC inciting violence, which you're going to have the clip and play it.
Yep.
And then did you see the Ray Epps thing on 60 Minutes?
I did not see that.
So Ray Epps was on 60 Minutes talking this weekend about how Tucker Carlson has destroyed his life and is out to ruin him. I don't know what happened. It's all speculation, Kev. Anything I come up with, because Tucker hasn't come out and said anything. Of course, Fox really hasn't either. So anything we come up with is speculation. But it seems odd that right after that lawsuit, you got Ray Epps, who is one of the FBI's most wanted men from January 6th, who is now the darling of the January 6th committee. And you got AOC coming out and saying this. And then Monday morning, they tell Tucker Carlson he's canned.
He's out. Yeah, I want to show this clip though of AOC inside Jen Psaki. I mean, AOC, I can't show that on YouTube, but I can inside the inside interview. Here's that clip.
Do you think media organizations or social media platforms should be accountable for the role for being platforms for incitement?
I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't. And when you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. And that is the line that I think we have to be willing to contend with.
This is very clearly incitement of violence. No, I hate when they do that. The left, it's always your speech is violence. You are causing me violence because you're saying something I don't like. That's what. And then she even I don't do I have this video? There's another video that I have where so that was before Tucker got fired. That was like the day before that aired, like the day before, 2 days before Tucker got fired. And then AOC also celebrated on Monday when she found out Tucker got fired. And I have that clip too from Twitter. And I'm going to play that one because I just want to show the kind of crap that AOC says. I think it's kind of hilarious. But I want to break down exactly like this is how the left acts. And like she is emblematic of a lot of what I've seen from lefties across the board on Twitter, on Instagram, everything. But here's what she had to say after she found out Tucker got fired.
Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Go back to bartending.
What I will say, though, is while I'm very glad that the person that was arguably responsible for some of the largest, driving some of the most amounts of death threats and violent threats, not just to my office, but to plenty of people across the country. I also kind of feel like I'm like waiting for the cutscene at the end of a Marvel movie after all the credits have rolled. And then you see like the villain's like hand reemerge out to grip over like the end of a building or something. But deplatforming works, and it is important. And
deplatforming works, and it is important.
What she meant to say was restraining free speech. That's what she meant to say.
That's what she means by it. Deplatforming is just a bigger. I'm surprised she knows that word. First off, secondly, I just want to point out how flippin' dramatic. AOC is. AOC comes and blames Tucker Carlson for death threats that she gets from other wackos. First things first, I would like anybody, if you can show me, I will become a liberal. I will vote for Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders in the next election if you can show me a single clip of Tucker Carlson ever explicitly calling for anybody to die, have death threats against them, anything like that. I'd like to see that clip. I will vote for Joe Biden in 2024 if you can show me that clip.
And if I could show you that clip, Kevin, turning you into a liberal, I'd happily do it just to see the transition, as we call it nowadays. But I can't pull it up, and neither can anybody else. I can say this much, though. The reason she gets death threats is because she originally tried to screw her district over. Now she's trying to screw the American people over. That's why she's probably getting death. And I don't condone death threats, okay?
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing that I wanted to say, too, is like, I am not calling for any death threats. Anybody who sent a death threat to AOC is an idiot, because not only is it just purely wrong, it's also like you're going to be on a watch list all the flipping time now. So you're patently an idiot. So no death threats ever condoned to anybody, period. On this show, on Aldonzo and Deez's show at Cities 92.9, we don't. But I think the craziest thing here is just how out in the open they are about their deplatform, get rid of, and don't allow them to speak message.
Dude, I saw a really great article in the Gateway Pundit today, and it was a picture of Tucker Carlson in a golf cart with his wife of 30 years, and they're smiling and having a good time. And this is after Fox fired him. And the whole gist of the story was Tucker Carlson's still happy. They'll always still be miserable. Next week, AOC has not even a fraction of the money that Tucker Carlson has, or the fame, or the fan base, or the charisma. And you know what? After today, she's still going to be a miserable sack of excrement. Tucker Carlson, fine, dude. That's the greatest thing about it.
Absolutely. I actually have. So I saw that video from Benny John. I saw it on Benny Johnson's Twitter. I can pull it up right now as part of an article, because Tucker did give a short response. But here's that video real quick. There's no really audio to it, but just him and his wife in the golf cart. You could hear his laugh a little bit out of the Daily Mail.
0 F's right there, Kev. 0 F's given. He knows he's going to bounce back. He's going to be fine.
He knows he's going to be fine. And so I actually, because you said earlier that he didn't, that from what you had known, he hadn't responded yet. According to the Daily Wire today, retirement is going great so far. Tucker Carlson laughs off reporters who interrupt his dinner date. Ousted Fox News host Tucker Carlson was all smiles when reporters caught up with him on Tuesday evening, or last night, on Tuesday evening in Florida. According to a report published by the Daily Mail, Carlson appeared absolutely unbothered by the fact that his abrupt exit after consistently dominating cable news ratings. The only future plans Carlson would admit to on Tuesday involved his imminent dinner, which he said would include appetizers plus entree, and marked the first weeknight dinner date since the beginning of his successful show's run on Fox with Susan, his wife, of more than 3 decades. He said, quote, "I haven't eaten dinner with my wife on a weeknight in 7 years. Retirement is going great so far."
Well, I mean, you know what it takes to put into just the radio shows like we do.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so much, and there's so much research and this and that. So I can imagine there's probably a little bit of sigh of relief whenever they came to the determination that Tucker Carlson wasn't coming back. There has to be,
Absolutely.
He's getting a break at least, get refreshed. So I think it'll work out good for him in the long run, to be honest with you.
Oh, absolutely. And that's like the thing is like anybody who's cheering on, any liberal out there that's cheering on and saying, yeah, you got fired from Fox News, man. You want to know why a liberal is cheering for that? Because liberals still trust the mainstream media. They might not trust Fox as a network, but they still trust the mainstream media. They're the like 20% of Americans that still trust the mainstream media. You want to know why every conservative is like sad right now because we're like, man, what are we going to do from 7 to 8 in Central Time on weeknights now? Or was it 8 p.m. here? Maybe it was 7
p.m. here. And you know what?
That's what I thought.
Like a lot of people, I got rid of DirecTV or whatever it was. I got rid of satellite television. It got solely to watch Tucker Carlson. Now, I canceled the subscription, but I paid up front for it. So I still got it to like October. So I may like tune in to Gutfeld or something to get my money's worth out of it.
Yep.
But that was the reason I had it. A lot of people canceled that out. And dude, it doesn't matter. AOC comes out and, well, good for Fox News for doing this and all these liberals. Let me tell you something. Next week, they'll be gunning after Hannity because he opened his mouth and said something they don't like. So it doesn't matter. You can't make these people happy.
No, you never can. You never can. And like I said, like Tucker has a wealth of opportunity
absolutely
in front of him. I mean, he can stream anywhere. He could stream on Rumble and he'd get millions of views. He could go YouTube. YouTube probably wouldn't be his best option because he'd likely get banned pretty quick. He could stream on Twitter. I mean, with Elon, he could go anywhere he wanted to and he'd still have 9 million plus people still ready to watch him.
Dude, look at what Joe Rogan's doing on Spotify right now. I don't
What was
see
that, like a 30 million plus deal?
Yeah, and that showed me that Spotify really doesn't care about your politics or what you say as long as you can bring in viewers and make them money. So he's got so many options out there. He's going to be fine.
I'm hoping what I really hope is that he goes with the Daily Wire. Personally, I already have a Daily Wire subscription. I think the Daily Wire would just be one of the best places. We start building our own alternative media that becomes mainstream, but it's not mainstream media, you know? And that's what I think.
That's what we have to do. And I think the biggest takeaway from this is, look, Kev, and I know you've thought about this as well. We have literally 50% of the country, okay, that believes the other 50% is lying to them and wants to kill them. And the other 50% believe the same thing that this 50% believes. Look, I'm just going to wrap my part of this up with, we're watching societal collapse right now. All right. When you come out there and start actively getting people off the news that are saying talking points you don't like and saying these people are out to get you, which goes into the whole trans thing and everything else. I just sitting back watching something historic here. I'm not saying I like it, but this is unprecedented for our country and our time.
Absolutely. You're right. It is unprecedented for our country and this time. I also wanted to contrast this story a little bit with Don Lemon's departure from CNN because here's the thing is it actually seemed like it was a pretty clean break for Tucker and Fox. It was like Tucker and Fox have agreed to part ways. He's not going to be on on Monday night. He's not going to be on ever again on Fox. Thank him for his time, and that's it. Don Lemon, on the other hand, Don Lemon, however you want to say it, the lemonade. He leaves, and let me see. So I have a Daily Wire article here that starts off actually. Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon hired the same attorney after both were fired, which I thought was kind of interesting. There's no indication as to why that might be or anything. It just seems to be maybe it's just a good attorney for people that are fired from.
Well, show business. If I'm correct, it's an entertainment attorney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably just somebody that's well experienced. I just think it's kind of interesting that they're both fired on the same day and then both get the same attorney.
That attorney makes a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. But Lemon's ouster at CNN came a short time later after the Tucker Carlson announcement. And Lemon made the announcement on social media. He claimed in a statement that his agent informed him that he had been terminated, adding, quote, "After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network." He continued, "It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I have worked for in this incredible run. They're the most talented journalists, blah, 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 blah." But then CNN comes back at him, quickly disputed Lemon's version of events, saying that they invited him in for a meeting and he declined to attend. Don Lemon's statement about this morning's event is inaccurate. CNN Communications said in a statement, he was offered the opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter, which I just thought was so funny. At the end of the day, he's just fired. He's gone, right? Like,
well, I'm not surprised. I'll tell you why. He's a whiny little coward. He's a very little man. He is. You know, after the thing, look, they took him off his own show. They put him on. What was the morning show he went on? What was the name of that?
I don't even remember, but yeah.
With so-and-so or whatever that called. And then he had that thing where he came out against Nikki Haley, said she was past her prime. Well, that probably didn't sit good with the CNN execs.
No.
And then the thing with the Vivek Ramaswamy, that's it. I couldn't remember how to pronounce it. Ramaswamy, which he just made a complete fool of himself.
Yeah, I think I can talk a little bit more because I'm going to find that clip because that was actually a good clip.
Surprised. They went through all the steps of disciplining him. And he didn't show up for the meeting. He didn't show up because he's a coward. That's why he didn't want to hear how bad he was doing, I think. I look like, what was that? Marco Rubio when he was drinking the water. Was that it?
Yeah. Yeah. And he put his,
my mouth's dry. Sorry, I had to do
it. No, it's all good. I'm trying to find that clip here because I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, see? Don't have little hands.
No little hands for Eldonzo. I did see a comment in here too while I find that video from a guy from a boy guy, whatever, Jim Adams. He's a frequent flyer on my show. I'm guessing Fox News will lose most of their viewers. That's so true. I think, did you see that Babylon Bee post?
I did not.
About Tucker. There was a Babylon Bee post about Tucker that was like, that said like, Fox News fires only reason why anybody watched Fox News.
That's about the truth. Did you see his replacement
last night? I didn't even watch last night. Who was it?
Yeah, it was a picture of what's that guy? Dylan Mulvaney, and it said Johnson Tucker.
Oh, I get it.
Pretty good.
That's funny. That is pretty good. So I found one of the clips here. I've been meaning to watch this full interview. I never had a chance to, but let's take a look at this. Is Vivek Ramaswamy, presidential candidate, on Don Lemon's show.
Move on to Cheyenne.
I don't see what one has to do with the other, but go on. I took up a lot of time with Fox.
Oh, it's fine. We have time.
I don't really see what one has to do with the other, especially consider and using the Civil War to talk about Black Americans. That war was not fought for Black people to have guns. That's not.
That war was fought for Black people to have freedoms in this country. Yeah. Actually, that's why the Civil War was fought.
Okay.
And the sad part about it,
fought for Black people to have guns. I think.
Actually, you know, funny fact is Black people did not get to enjoy the other freedoms until their Second Amendment rights were secured. And I think that's one of the lessons that we learned.
Aren't allowed to enjoy the freedoms.
I disagree with you on that, Don. I disagree with you. I think you're doing a disservice to our country by failing to recognize the fact that we have equality before the law.
And you live in this country, then you can disagree with me, but we're not. You mentioned that
I
we
disagree.
have 3 different shades
John, I
of
think we have to be able to
melanin
talk about these issues in the open, regardless of the color of our skin. Black Americans today, to say that, compare that to 1865 and 1964,
I think for you to compare it to
absolutely
1865 and
have equal rights
1964
in this
is
country.
actually, I think it's insulting.
I just think it's insulting. I just think it's insulting. No, he absolutely destroyed him. I mean, you want to know why? You want to know why Don Lemon got fired? Is because he can't even flip and handle a guest.
Well, did you hear the part? And I don't think you played. I don't think you got to it. But Don Lemon Jello says something to the extent of whatever color you are, and turned it completely into race about this guy. So Vivek Ramaswamy is a smart dude. He obviously knows his stuff. He's making a concise point, a logical point, a truthful point. And you got Don Lemon over here, who has probably got more money than I'll ever make in my whole life. An openly gay African-American man in America that's got the world by the tail, except he opens his mouth and ruins it, trying to school somebody else about what they can talk about and what they can't because they're not black and we don't have the same rights. What rights is Don Lemon missing that I've got? None. Get the old blood pressure worked up here, Kev. Yeah.
I know. Donzo, you just hit it on the nail on the head. Like, I can't even, I have nothing else to add. You said it perfectly. Don Lemon is just one of the most, it's just, his existence is kind of ironic because he exists to tell people that they're privileged because of the color of their skin, because of their wealth, whatever, because anything, that they're privileged inherently, and that he is so oppressed. While he sits there in an ivory tower and just cries, like you said, he's a whiny little baby.
I had other words I could use for him, but I'm not going to use them. But you know what? He forgot about the time Morgan Freeman schooled him in an interview about, look at me, look at you. You're going to talk about black rights. You're going to talk about Black History Month, call somebody African-American. Morgan Freeman made the point that by what Don Lemon's saying and what Don Lemon is totally contradicting himself with that.
No, absolutely. He is absolutely. I do want to move on a little bit because so I haven't even watched this ad yet, but as you probably heard, Joe Biden announced that he was running for president in 2024. It was kind of something that people were expecting, but he's going to be like 80 years old when he runs. Oldest, not only is he currently the oldest sitting president, he'll be the oldest person to run for president, I believe. I'm almost positive on that in this upcoming election cycle. And I haven't even watched the ad yet. It dropped. This was super weird to me. It dropped at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., something like that.
It was early.
It was. And so I woke up and it was like pushed down into other notifications. It wasn't until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. I was like, oh, crap. Biden announced this morning. It was like sandwiched with so many other things. It almost seemed like they didn't even want people to know that it happened. It was super weird, but I have the ad pulled up. And so I just want to have you seen it yet? His announcement ad? Okay,
I watched as much as I could possibly stomach it.
So I'm going to pull it up. I haven't seen it yet. So for me, it's a blind reaction. Donzo has seen it. So let's take a look at this ad and I'll go like minute by minute. When I find a stopping point in each minute, I'll see we'll see what we want to say about it. So let's go.
Freedom, personal freedom, is fundamental to who we are as Americans. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred. That's been the work of my first term, to fight for our democracy. This shouldn't be a red or blue issue. To protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally and that everyone is given a fair shot at making it. But you know, around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life.
Okay, so here, I'm going to stop right there just because it's really interesting so far. I might look at some of these other things, but the one thing I'm noticing so far is that this ad, I got to give it to him. This ad is actually really well produced. That's the first thing. I got to give it to him because like, and the GOP has to flip and step up. Everybody, if we want to win this next election, we got to get with the times. That ad is very well produced so far. It's really, I mean, and the other thing too that I've noticed is that it hits on something that I knew would be a focal point of this upcoming election, January 6th.
Yeah.
And that's what it's getting into a little bit right there. But that's why I've been, and I know there's a lot of my viewers and my listeners on the radio are people that are more open to Trump 2024. If he is the candidate, if he is the primary winner, I'm all for him. I will be all in on him. But the reason why I've been super skeptical of it is because what I know will happen is exactly what Biden's doing already. It's going to be repeat footage of January 6th. And
I'm sorry.
You go. No, you go.
Okay, so there's a reason that Biden is putting all this MAGA Republicans and January 6th stuff in there, because he is banking that Donald Trump is going to be the nominee for the Republican Party. Look, I'm kind of going in the same direction as you. I would love to see Donald Trump get 4 more years. He deserves 4 more years. And this isn't, a good conservative friend of mine called me up. She said, I don't need your black pills. But I told her, I'm not sure Donald Trump can actually win the election. Look, I'll vote for Donald Trump. I'll support Donald Trump if he's a candidate. I'm not going to say who I'm supporting yet, but I'm going to tell you this. We need the absolute best candidate we can get to get as many independent voters on our side. The only way we're going to beat these people is in massive numbers of votes. That's it. We have to get everybody we can, whether it's DeSantis, whether it's Trump, because let's face it, those are the 2 front runners. We got to do so. We cannot let this one go. We can't.
Absolutely. And that's why when it comes, whether or not whatever you believe when it comes to what happened on January 6th, when it comes to a moderate or somebody who is not politically inclined, this is a message or this is just an insight to people that aren't watching this video right now.
Right.
The people that are not watching this video right now, the people that don't really care about politics very often, but they will vote in a presidential election, they're going to see this 3-minute ad, or at least cuts of it, on the WGN News at 9 or whatever nightly news you watch. And your more local news, they're going to play clips of this ad, and it's going to include stuff about January 6th. And that's what they're going to see. They're going to see continuous ads that just run about January 6th. And the moderate who isn't politically inclined, doesn't do their research, doesn't look into things, doesn't formulate their own opinion. It doesn't look good. That's the thing, is the pictures and the videos that they show, that they cherry pick from that day, do not look good. And that's where their perception comes from.
Well, that's their strength, Kev. Okay. The left strength is that they can put together a video like that, and it makes us MAGA Republicans look like we're domestic terrorists. And you hit the nail on the head. The independents see that. And what are we doing? We're over here playing softball with these idiots.
I know. Where were the massively put out ads? And I guarantee you there probably were some, but in 2020, I don't remember seeing ads plastered everywhere of the BLM riots.
No, there wasn't. Everybody kept hands off that because they didn't want to PO anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Tee anybody off.
Like, why weren't we reminding people that there were billions of dollars in city destruction in the summer of 2020? Why were we not reminding people of that?
Yeah, well, look, a lot of people in the GOP right now don't have any guts. They're looking out for themselves. Look at how many of these so-called conservatives are siding with Biden with the war in Ukraine. They don't have any guts. They don't want to touch BLM. They pussyfoot around it just like they do anything else. God forbid they scare anybody or make anybody angry with them, or have any rival news agency come after them, or have anybody boycott them or try to get their spot or their donors taken away from them. They're gutless. I'm kind of ashamed of a lot of them, to be honest with you, Kev.
No, absolutely. It really is. And that's why I just have issues with the Republican Party in general, is they're not willing to go in for the kill. And I mean that metaphorically. Before any liberal comes after me and says, Kevin Phares tries to say go in for the kill, you should kill people. No, I do not think you should actually kill anybody. But that's what Biden is doing. Well, not really Biden. We know it's not actually in control of any of this. But that's what the DMs, what his handlers are doing here, is they're going in. They're saying, like, let's go back and watch a little bit more of what they're saying here. And we're going to break down some, because now he's getting into some of the issues. So he outlines that freedom is so important, that I love individual freedom, even though you think everybody should be forced to get the COVID vax, all that kind of crap. Freedom's so great, blah, 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 blah. Now let's go into what he says next.
But around the country, MAGA extremists are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life, while cutting taxes for the very wealthy, dictating what healthcare decisions women can make, banning books, and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
look at how bad all those Republicans are. Let's click through some of these. So he starts off with the Social Security one, and this is an interesting one. The thing about the Social Security one is that it seems to be an issue that the Republicans started in terms of, well, actually Biden kind of started it, but then the Republicans carried it because if you remember during Biden's State of the Union, he tried to claim that Republicans were trying to cut Social Security. Then the majority of Republicans in the room at the State of the Union stood up and said, no, that's not true. And said, we're fine with Social Security, whatever. We just want to make some reforms so that we can actually make sure that it keeps working.
And
it's on life.
Pay it into it, get it back.
Exactly. And so nobody is trying to claim, from what I understand, is trying to claim that Social Security is trying to be cut. Jim even said who is talking about it. The other thing too, though, is that it's been perpetuated by Republican candidates. Well, not Republican candidates, by super PACs supporting Republican candidates. I did another video earlier, like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, something like that compared a pro-Trump PAC ad and a pro-DeSantis PAC ad. And one showed that, and both of them talked about Social Security. The pro-Trump one said that DeSantis wanted to cut Social Security, and the pro-DeSantis one said that Trump wanted to cut Social Security. Here's our problem, is that we're letting Democrats define our issues. That's what's happening here. That's what happened with the Social Security one. The reason why it's being brought up is because Biden brought it up at the State of the Union. We have candidates that are still talking about it because we're letting the Democrats define what the issues are on the table.
I agree. We're letting them call the shots. I agree 100%. Same thing with the ballot harvesting and the mail-in voting, and Hannity and even Tucker Carlson have gotten on that boat before about, hey, we got to catch up with them and play the same tricks that they're playing.
Absolutely. And so that's the first one is the Social Security cut. Then they get into abortion. Obviously, this one's going to be a big one. This is always a big issue in elections, and it's especially an issue now because Democrats are obviously fighting for some kind of federal law regarding abortion. That's what. So it's a social issue that they're going to stick with. Bans off our bodies outside. They're evoking the Supreme Court because the conservative court pushed for Roe v. Wade to be, actually decided to overturn Roe v. Wade. But then they claim this banning books one. I've actually read, I don't know a single conservative that claims that we should be banning To Kill a Mockingbird, first off. I don't know. I've read The Invisible Man. I think it's kind of critical race theory-ish, but I don't really know. I've never heard, I haven't heard, and maybe I haven't heard any conservatives say that we need to ban books regarding most things with race. Maybe at certain levels, maybe.
Well, not even
you heard.
Certain levels, certain age groups don't need to be reading certain books. Okay. And that should be up to the schools. That should be up to the parents. All right. But as adults, we can read anything we want to read. No conservative is saying we need to burn this book or ban it. I haven't heard one say maybe restrict it in schools, certain books. I get it for whatever reason. Now, some conservatives do go off the deep end with this, though, Kev. And they do get on that bandwagon, but they're few and far between. If anybody's banning anything, the left is banning the stuff they don't want to hear, they don't want to read, and they don't want to see.
Exactly. We just talked about within the last half hour, AOC saying that we need to be banning people that we don't like from news networks and stuff.
This book thing has zero basis in reality. This is pretty much just make them up stuff to get independents to go, oh no, the conservatives are really bad. Oh God. That's all this is. Lies.
And then they move on. Well, then Biden moves on to talk about how we're trying to make voting harder. No, we're trying to make sure that people vote only once, and that only legal American citizens vote in elections.
Can I make a point about that? And I agree with you. Can I make a quick point?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I heard a liberal pundit, paraphrasing here, said, there's some people that just can't afford to get a state-issued ID. Well, first of all, take Illinois. You can apply and get one for free, okay? Let me tell you something. I'm just going to be blunt about this. If you cannot save enough money by putting the drugs down or the cigarettes down or the beer down, if you cannot save $10 to go get a state-issued ID, if you can't pull that off, maybe I don't want you voting anyway. Okay, maybe I don't think you're qualified to go out and cast a vote.
Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate. I think that's very right. I want to actually breaking news right now. I just got a notification because we were talking about the Tucker Carlson stuff. I'm gonna get back to that ad. But there's a tweet from Tucker Carlson that hints at a future post Fox News. And so I am going to pull that onto my screen right now so we can watch this. This just breaking right now. Let's take a look at this video from Tucker.
Good evening, it's Tucker Carlson. One of the first things you realize when you step outside the noise for a few days is how many genuinely nice people there are in this country. Kind and decent people, people who really care about what's true, and a bunch of hilarious people also, a lot of those. It's got to be the majority of the population, even now. So that's heartening. The other thing you notice when you take a little time off is how unbelievably stupid most of the debates you see on television are. They're completely irrelevant. They mean nothing. In 5 years, we won't even remember that we had them. Trust me, as someone who's participated. And yet at the same time, and this is the amazing thing, the undeniably big topics, the ones that will define our future, get virtually no discussion at all. War, civil liberties, emerging science, demographic change, corporate power, natural resources. When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it. Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't. The people in charge know this. That's why they're hysterical and aggressive. They're afraid. They've given up persuasion. They're resorting to force. But it won't work. When honest people say what's true, calmly and without embarrassment, they become powerful. At the same time, the liars who've been trying to silence them shrink, and they become weaker. That's the iron law of the universe. True things prevail. Where can you still find Americans saying true things? There aren't many places left, but there are some, and that's enough. As long as you can hear the words, there is hope. See you soon.
See you soon. See you soon. Whew.
That sounded pretty upbeat.
Yep. Sounds upbeat. Sounds, and there's obviously going to be, like, here's the thing is he might have said in that to those reporters last night that he said that retirement is treating me well, but it's obvious that he's going to be doing something.
That is not a video of a guy that just got kicked in the scrotum. Okay. This guy's got to leave, dude. I'm telling you, he's good to go. It was actually nice seeing that. I'm glad you broke that. I'm glad you brought that up. That was good. That was refreshing.
Absolutely. Tucker Carlson is not gone. As Trump says, the best is yet to come. And he basically just calls out Fox News indirectly. Like, he doesn't obviously say, but he says, where are you going to go for truth? Where are you going to go for actual news, for people to actually tell you what's going on in the world, to break the actual stories about war and not just give you puff pieces to distract you, the shiny thing over here, instead of actually looking at the man behind the curtain.
Well, I tell you what, you're not going to PMSNBC, you're not going to the Clinton Network, and you ain't going to Fox no more, baby. So, hey, it's anybody's game at this point, and those three aren't involved in it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I do want to get back because I want to break down this whole Biden ad, but I had to bring that up just because I got the notification and I was like, man, we got to check that out and see exactly what he had to say. But so I hope you guys enjoyed that, but let's get back to so we covered voting rights. That was the last thing from the ad that we had seen so far. Let's get into what else Biden had to say in his announcement ad here.
I'm making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
Now it's him. He's the savior. Look at him. He's so perfect. Kamala too. Aww.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be.
Great question. Let's listen to that one more time. Donzo, I want you to answer this question that he's asking.
More freedom or less freedom. Years ahead, we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too.
So let's ask that question as if it was asked from before. In the last 4 years, or at least since Biden took office, do you believe we have more freedoms or less freedoms?
If anybody tells you we have less freedoms, they're brain dead, or more freedoms, they're brain dead. We have, I can't even wrap my mind around what we can't do anymore. And I don't mean like necessarily a law has been put in place, but our freedom of speech especially has been suppressed. Our Second Amendment has been suppressed. Everything has been suppressed. I can't believe that was one of the things that got me about that we have more freedoms than we had 4 years ago. He's out of his mind.
Out of his mind. Absolutely. Well, here's the other thing too, is let's like try to pretend, let's say has stayed away from guns. He stayed away from free speech. Let's say he hadn't done anything with that. You want to know how your freedom has been restricted, a tangible way in which your freedom was restricted? Your taxes are higher. Your cost of living is higher. Do you think you are freer when you have less money because you have to spend more on a carton of eggs, on a gallon of milk, on your rent, on electricity? When your possibility of having a gas stove is threatened by environmental wokeism?
Absolutely. And that was a point, I made it kind of with the gas, but that's absolutely getting right into that. I was just reading Nestle, I can't remember, it's not Nestle Bite, but whatever the Nestle company is. They have a 10% inflation rate right now. They're up.
I saw that.
What they were.
Just about all their products average about 10% higher now. I saw that.
87,000 IRS agents and all the guns and ammunition to arm them. They're absolutely not. Do we have more freedoms? We have significantly less freedoms than we had 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's keep going with this ad. See what else he has to say.
This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election.
There's the announcement, everybody. Oh
my God.
America.
I know we're good and decent people. I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation.
What do you have to say about? So we're good people. What do you have to say about Biden claiming that we're good people?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, he's lying because he's not a good person himself, and treating people with dignity was the biggest lie I've ever seen. That guy asked him about his Hunter's overseas business dealings, and he called him fat body or something. Tried to push-ups, calls everybody Jack. I mean, this guy's got no dignity. He's lying. I wonder I really would like to know how much production time they had to get him to utter those words. Like, how many takes did they need? How much Adderall did they need to pump him up with? This guy doesn't believe a word he's saying. And the worst thing is he knows it, and he knows he's lying to everybody about it.
Absolutely. And I want to show, so he just claimed in there that he knows Americans are good people. Well, I want to show this clip because I think that this is an important one to show when he thinks that when he claims that he thinks Americans are good people. Let's take a look.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country.
We're a threat. MAGA Republicans, which he claims are not in the majority, but polling would suggest differently, are a threat to this country. Now, let's go back one more time. I'll let you speak, but I want to just go back one more time to what Biden had to say. He says he knows America. Dignity. Do you think it's treating people with dignity when you say that a significant amount of the country are a danger to it, and that we're extremists.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because look, if being extremist, excuse me, if
I don't know if you guys could hear that part of the video. I might have gone silent. Sorry, I forgot to add it to the stream. So sorry if you couldn't hear it.
Are you in there? Are we good?
Yep, we're good. But I just
playing the video real quick.
I thought I did, but I just want to play it one more time. I thought I did, but I could hear it.
I know we're good and decent people.
Good and
I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity.
There you go. Yeah, dignity. So much dignity. Keep going. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. A point I wanted to make was he talked about the vast number of MAGA extremists, and it says that the majority of the GOP are not MAGA extremists. So he's talking not about congressmen. He's talking about the citizens. And yes, I'm going to tell you, you'll agree with this. The majority of the Republican citizens are what he would call extremists, which is low taxes, Second Amendment rights, not getting us in wars, policing other countries, especially that aren't NATO. Yep. I mean, we could talk about, closing the border. We're extremists now because we don't want to allow our border to be open and allow fentanyl to come in from China. We're extremists because we know he's been bought and we're calling him out on it, and he's owned by a foreign adversary. If that makes you extremist, Kevin, I'm an extremist, bud.
No, and that's what I say all the time is I'm your good friendly neighborhood extremist, because that's how he describes it. And if you look at the polling right now, here's the thing is I guarantee you, even those that are not necessarily in favor of Trump 2024, which I've voiced my personal objections to Trump 2024, I'm still in favor of the Make America Great Again message on the policies that made up the Trump administration. I'm still 100% in favor of that. I'm still consider myself a MAGA Republican and a MAGA American. And there are plenty of others out there like us, Aldonza. Everybody that's in here, we are all extremists. We're all extremists. And yet he claims that he believes that most Americans have that he wants to treat them with dignity and that they're all good people. But he obviously doesn't believe that they're all good people. Let's keep going with more of this ad.
That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor. We believe that everyone is equal, that everyone should be given a fair shot to succeed in this country.
Everyone is equal, but you want to have like affirmative action and make policies that benefit people based on their race?
That's exactly what he wants to do. He's lying. He just lies and lies and lies, and whatever script they put out in front of him is what he reads.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely. I don't even know what to say.
Let's keep going. I'll keep going with the ad.
Thank you.
Ketanji Brown Jackson puts her on the Supreme Court. Yeah.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights. And this is our moment.
We, the people, will not decide.
So if you're with me, go to joebiden.com and sign up.
So
it would have been funny if you said text Joe to 30330. That would have been funny.
That would have been really funny. I want to show, because here's the thing is, so Joe Biden in that ad, like I said earlier, this is an amazing ad. I'll be honest. This ad is absolutely amazing in terms of production quality. But you want to know what else is amazing about this ad? I'm going to share another video of President Biden, and I'm going to explain to you how, when you look at this video and compare it to that ad, how that ad is amazing. And so let's watch this right here. Watch. He's getting up. Oh, and he trips and falls a little bit and runs up there. And he turns around and he goes into the plane, but we can watch right here again. He trips up the stairs. He literally trips up the stairs. And as you can see, based on the caption of this, this is not the first time he's done it a lot of times. So you look at that ad that I played, and like, let's just to reiterate one more time, let's watch the end of this ad. Like they have him running around. They have him taking pictures with all these people, hugging people in a church across the country.
Go to joebiden.com and sign up.
Have him smiling. They have an 80-year-old man.
Finish this job. I know we can. Because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
Let's finish the job. That's what it ends with. So here's the thing, is that the reason why this ad is amazing is the production quality, and the production quality is so good that it makes a man who literally falls up the stairs multiple times look energetic and ready to serve until he's 84 years of age.
Now, Kevin, I got to jump in there, bro. I have fallen up the stairs multiple times too. All right, but it's usually as a result of a half a bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label and about 12 or 15 beers. So if I can put myself in that situation of how I fell up the stairs, I can only imagine what that dude's going through. But no, I agree. They did make him look good.
They made him look amazing.
They did.
Compared to, like, if you've ever actually watched a full speech of Joe Biden, you're either falling asleep or watching him not be able to get anything out. He even had, I saw a speech that he had the other day, and I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to try to pull it up here. But he talks about how he'll never forget a teacher and then forgot the teacher. It's crazy.
Can't
Let me see
wait.
if I can find it. What else do you think about this while I'm pulling this up here?
Well, I think it really, I think it cements what you said about this is what the independents are going to see. They're going to put this out there for independents to see it. People that don't follow the news and be like, well, what are the silly conservatives talking about? He looks fine to me. Well, we can't have another 4 years of Trump, or DeSantis is a racist. DeSantis did the Don't Say Gay bill. So, yeah, I mean, I disagree with that. They did a good job. They come a long way from that really, really crappy commercial they did in his basement when he was campaigning. It looked like a bunch of 15-year-olds put it together for a class project. You remember that? And he was glitching out and everything.
Yep, I do remember that.
Come a long way. They've done good. I mean, you can get Joe Biden to look semi-coherent for 2.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's like de-aging Harrison Ford for the new Indiana Jones movie. I mean, there's some AI, there's some neat technology at foot here.
There absolutely is. They're 100%. And there's been multiple times where people have claimed that maybe people have used some of that deep fake stuff for Biden videos, you know?
Well, if they're doing it for Biden, why haven't they done it for Fetterman yet? Because he's the one that really needs it.
Did you hear about the whole body double stuff with him? Not to get too off topic here, but did you hear about that stuff?
That body double thing was from like a year and a half ago. And the reason we don't buy it is because if they got away with it, then they'd still be doing it now. Because that dude's been, I feel bad for the guy. I do. I really do. I don't like him, but for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to find, there's just so many blunders of Biden. I can't find the exact video that I was trying to find, but it was like, he was literally talking. I think it might've been DC Drano. Let me see if I can find, but we know of so many different fumbles and times where Biden has not been able to just keep up. And they made him look in that ad so alert, you know?
The same people that are standing up for Joe Biden saying Joe Biden's fine, he's cognitively fine, are the same ones saying that Ronald Reagan had dementia towards the end of his last term. They're the same people. Look, I was a kid when Reagan was still in office, okay? I remember videos with Reagan. I remember interviews with Reagan. I remember, seeing his campaign stuff. He was fine. If he had dementia, maybe he did, but it was really early onset. He wasn't sniffing people, okay, sniffing little kids and whatnot. He wasn't tripping upstairs. He wasn't saying he rode, what was it, like, how many thousands of miles he rode on Amtrak? No, he said he rode 1 million miles on Amtrak. He just up Corn Pop and you may cut me, but I'm going to beat you with this chain. And Corn Pop is a bad dude and his hairy legs. And dude, I can't take another 4 years. I'll probably, if he gets reelected, I might be an expat. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be like these, like Rob Reiner and Rosie O'Donnell that say if somebody gets elected, I'll move out of the country. But I don't know. Belize is looking nice, bro. I'm just telling you.
Take a little 4-year vacation or something.
Yeah, spending that. It's cheap to live down there too.
Yeah, I couldn't find the exact video I was looking for, but I did find this one, which is like just as bad from the same speech. So let's watch this one here real quick.
Including thank you for the members of Congress here today, including two outstanding educating Congresswomen, Jonah, and by the way, Jonah Hayes Jonah, where are you? There you are, Jonah, right in front of me. Stand up, Jonah. Jonah happens to be the 2016 National Teacher of the Year.
Yeah, you confused a congresswoman for a man in that video.
Well, that's nothing. What about the congresswoman that died? And he's looking.
Oh,
around.
yeah. That was a crazy one when he just brought up, and everybody in the audience was like, oh, did you really just say that?
Like 2 months, dude. What about that? The best one was, I can't remember the guy's name, but he said, Jim, go ahead. Stand up, Jim, so everybody can see it. And the guy was in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do. Yeah, I do remember that one too. He has had so many instances. There's been multiple times in which he forgets where he is. Like he's like, "What state am I in again?"
Dude, it's so bad. It's so bad that nobody like puts on the YouTube anymore or the internet when he does something stupid. They put on when he does something semi-coherent. That's how. Like, hey, Biden actually said 5 words in a sentence and strung them together correctly. That's how bad this is.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, I know I'm running up against when I got to go and do some other things in my life, and I'm sure you have some other things you want to get done too. But I know that you had stuff you wanted to say about the Bud Light controversy. It is still persisting. It is still going on. It's kind of crazy to me. I thought that it would be another instance of outrage culture that would just fizzle out at some point, but people are still boycotting. People are still asking for more and for apologies from Bud Light. What do you have to say about this whole Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light situation?
I can report to you as a beer drinker in the Midwest right now. People are pissed about this, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's absolutely not. So my initial thing to this was, and by the way, Bud Light's down 17% in their sales, which is astronomical for a company that size. That's a lot.
Millions. It's millions.
I initially said on the Aldonzo and D show, because I drank Busch Light, and I said, if they fire this chick, maybe I'll go back to drinking it. And I almost considered going back, and I did a post on Facebook, and we promoted it and got it out there. I can't remember how many hundreds of people got on there. 99% of them were not happy with that. They are sticking to their guns, dude. This and it's good, because it's not that they got a transgender spokesperson. I don't hate transgender people. It's the whole thing of we got this guy and we're going to help him celebrate 365 days of being a girl. This guy's got no idea what it's like. And it really offended a lot of people. So I'm kind of going this way. Unless they come out and apologize and put Riley Gaines on a beer can, then I don't think I'm going back and drinking.
I said that I talked about a little bit about it on my show last weekend. And I said they need to apologize not only to the consumer, but just to women in general, that they would perpetrate this idea that being a woman is just a costume you can put on.
It's insulting. It's insulting to everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Donzo, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can find your show. You're hilarious. I don't even think that I know that you prep a little bit more for your usual shows, but I want everybody to know where they can find, because your show is hilarious everywhere that they can find it right now. I know we're going to try to set you up with streaming sometime soon, but where can everybody find your show right now?
The best thing to do is go to the Cities 92.9 app and download that app and listen to us on the app every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Time. We do have shared on our Facebook page, Aldonzo and D's. I can't remember the Aldonzo D's at Facebook. I can't remember. D's has that, but you can find us on there. So go ahead and listen to the show. You can listen to it live, or like I said, download the app and listen to it there. And every Saturday, 9 to 11. We hope you guys.
Definitely. And like I said, I'll get you hooked up with YouTube sometime soon, and we'll make sure that you guys can start live streaming. So then we can make sure that everybody's seeing it too, and has that opportunity to interact with you in that way. Thank you so much, Donzo, for joining. Thank you guys, everybody, for watching. I'll be back Sunday with another live stream. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show on YouTube. If you're on Facebook right now, watching this on Facebook or Twitch, go find my YouTube, Speechless with Kev Phares, last name Phares. like, subscribe, and share, because I have videos on there that I know are being suppressed by YouTube right now because it's content that they're going to shadow ban and make sure that people can't see. Some amazing videos. Everybody go check out Speechless with Kev Phares on YouTube. In the meantime, guys, this has been Speechless on Cities 92.9 and on YouTube. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Kev.